tonight we are so honored to have a really special man in the house, all the way from the ATL. The ATL. Is Morehouse in the house tonight? What, no Morehouse? Wow, I can't believe, oh, that's it. House. Very good. But before we bring Mr. Perry out, I want to have you all give a warm Vineyard welcome for Angelique Jackson, who'll be moderating the conversation, and she is a reporter with Variety. Please give it up for Angelique Jackson. Isn't she lovely? Oh, he didn't let me introduce him. Tyler, what is going on, dude? We went through this. Ladies and gentlemen, the director of JAZZMAN'S Blues, Clips and Conversation for tonight, give a Martha's Vineyard welcome to the one and only Tyler Perry.
Much to Floyd and Stephanie for that Martha's Vineyard welcome.
And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. We couldn't hear backstage, so I came out too soon.
And well, we're just very excited because this is both of our first times on Island. So thank you for having us.
Yes.
Well, this is also a big moment because this is a big movie for you, Mr. Perry. You first wrote this script in 1995. You have been waiting and just biding your time until it was time to finally make this movie. So kind of set up for the audience here who is getting a chance to see a little snippet, some really good clips here of JAZZMAN'S Blues, what they're going to see tonight.
This all originated, I was feeling low about the kind of plays that I was doing, and I got a chance to sneak in. I couldn't afford to go in, so I had to sneak in at intermission to the Alliance Theater in Atlanta, and I saw an August Wilson play. I think it was Seven Guitars, I can't remember. But there was an after party at a little cafe, and I went there, and I got a chance to meet him and talk to him. I said, you know, I do these plays, and he's like, don't be ashamed of that. You know, it's all art, tell your stories. And I was so inspired by it, I went home and I wrote this movie. I was broke, struggling, had, you know, nothing. First thing I ever wrote, and I called it a JAZZMAN'S. But who that sneezing over there? You better cover up. Boy, listen. Don't have me get my mask on in here. So I'm sorry, I digress. But just having an opportunity to go home and write. After, you know, his encouragement and what I had witnessed, I came up with this movie set from 1937 to about 1947 is the time period, 1987 is the time period at which it happens, and I'm really excited that people get a chance to see me do something like this.
Yes, I mean, it is truly a big epic. You step back in time, as you said, it kind of spans this 50 years. It has this glorious young cast, and I think it's maybe some time to see it. Why don't we take a first peek? As this is a world exclusive, y'all.
Just a little clip.
But it's a little clip of a JAZZMAN'S Blues. All right, y'all. Well, you just got a chance to meet Bayou and Leanne, and a quick reminder to the audience as well, because this is all brand new super secret stuff. Please do not record. We want to make sure that people get a chance to see this in all its glory as well, just like you all are here too. So just keep the secrets in-house, in the Vineyard, on Island.
What goes on in the Vineyard stays in the Vineyard, is that what you're saying? Okay.
Exactly. But also tell your friends that they should have been here.
Exactly right. We just met those are the heroes, hero and shero of the movie, Bayou and Leanne. We track their story throughout and their love for each other from this moment and the things that try to keep them apart and the choices that are made. And it's these two new people that people have not seen. I'm so excited about him because the guy playing Bayou, his name is Joshua Boone. He is phenomenal. And the young lady playing Leanne is Solea Pfeiffer, and she is phenomenal. As a matter of fact, Lana Young is here. Where are you? She's also going to be in one of the clips. Sandra Lynn is also in the movie. Looking beautiful as ever. Good to see you.
Well, congratulations. You are in a very beautiful film. But when we're talking about the casting, I think there's one thing that people should know is that at one point, you were considering being Bayou.
When I wrote it, yes, I had this dream cast in mind. You know, I'm broke at home, sitting there on, wondering if the lights are going to be on tomorrow. And I'm writing this thing, and I wanted to play Bayou. I wanted Will Smith to play the brother, Willie Earl, who played the trumpet. The mother, I wanted it to be Diana Ross. And Leanne, I wanted Halle to be Halle Berry. I was dreaming big, broke and dreaming. Hey, kind of paid off, though. Got to dream big, got to dream big, got to dream big.
You dream big, you end up on this stage,
Yes.
Still getting the movie made beautifully. So what was it about Joshua and his audition that gave you that same sense of what you had wanted as you wrote this?
You know, I've been very fortunate enough to help be a little small part of launching some very amazing careers in the business, and I'm really excited about that. So I love giving new faces an opportunity, and I did reach out to a lot of up-and-coming new people who will remain nameless. Quite a few of them, they read the script. Oh my God, I love it, this is great. But then, they talk to their people like, I don't know if you want to do that with Tyler Perry. I don't know if they thought Medea was going to pop out from behind a tree. I'm like, no, I really understand what this is. So just trying to express that to people was quite interesting. But to have someone come along, because then I started asking around. I said, you know what? You've always helped new people. Let's find some new people. So asking around, where's that crop of actors that were like in A Soldier Story, where there was Denzel and Lawrence Fishburne and who loved the craft, who really understood it. And Joshua Boone's name came up. And then Austin Scott's name. First it was Austin, then it was Joshua. And then they were like, well, you should talk to Solea. So, went to New York and found some incredibly talented people.
And this is truly Solea's big debut.
It's her big debut, yeah.
Her first movie.
Poor thing. I had to teach her a lot on this film, of just her first film. I'll tell you this, she'll probably kill me when she knows, so don't tell nobody. But after we'd finish the scene, I'd be waiting for her to come back. I'm like, where is she? We're trying to catch the light. Like for that scene, the light. I was like, the light's perfect, where is she? She would go back to the trailer and she'd wash all the makeup off her face. Right. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, well, I just wanted to look great. I say, oh, no, darling. Once your makeup's done in the morning, it's fine. They just touch it up all day. You don't start from scratch. She said, oh, okay, I got it. Yeah.
Nobody wants to mess up for Mr. Tyler Perry. You should see how much I'm sweating and shaking.
No.
But let's talk about the beauty of this, because as we saw in that shot, especially as they're sitting there on that tree, the beautiful cinematography that you have here, where did you film this one, and how did you and your director of photography kind of work to capture the look of the 30s and then all the way up through the 80s?
I was looking for a DP who understood it, and Brett Pollock was someone who said, I got it. And I said, okay, you got it, but can you work at my pace? Because I like to move. I don't like sitting around wasting lots of money, because being a person who writes the check, when you're sitting around waiting for the next setup, the money is burning. And I don't want somebody walking on set going, what if we decide to let the air of the leaf fall across the grass? You better get your ass out of here with that. We ain't doing that. So when you come to set, the money is already burning. There are people on payroll, so you have to have a clear idea of what you're doing, and we executed. And he was wonderful at that. And I think going to Savannah, because originally when I wrote it, it was Louisiana, but I was in Savannah once, and just seeing the trees and the Spanish moss and the grass at a certain time of year, and just the way the light was falling, I thought, this speaks to me. So I think Savannah said, here is where you shoot this film.
And in some ways, it kind of represented your own journey from Louisiana to Georgia and moving your home there, too.
I did not think about that, but yeah, you're right, yeah. Thanks that's good.
I'm just here giving you talking points for the rest of the press tour.
Yeah, what's that?
I'm just here giving you talking points for the rest of the press tour.
I'll make that note so I can have that in my pocket. Yeah, so it actually was speaking to me, dictating what I was, what'd you say, what was I supposed to say about it?
We'll talk about it backstage.
It's all good.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about Bayou and Leanne. I want to see a little bit more of where their story goes. So let's go ahead and play that next clip. So we got to see the meet cute as they meet at the cookout for the first time, and now that tree has become a special place for them. Tell me a little bit about this love story, and as we learn later, kind of a forbidden love story between these two teenagers at first.
I don't want to give too much away, but I tell you what I don't know how can I say without giving, because I really want you to just watch from the beginning. But their love for each other comes from they both arrive meeting each other with a need. They both have a need, and they're able to fulfill that need for each other. And I don't know if you've ever found that with someone, whether it's good or bad, but that person had a need, you had a need, and you fulfilled it within each other. And sometimes it's so electric and so dynamic that anything that tries to break it apart, it comes up against this power and this force that will hold it together forever. And I think that that's the theme that runs through this. No matter what force tried to break that up, it wasn't able to do it from the beginning of them being 17 until, she was very, very old. Yeah.
What was it like being on the other side of that camera? Because obviously you had come up with this idea, you knew what you wanted the story to feel like and seem like, but you have them in costume, on location, and you're looking at the monitor and they're just nailing it. What was that moment like for you?
This is the first time I ever enjoyed directing. Like, I really sat into it and settled into it, and I'm like, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like. Because everything else that I've done has been about building the brand, building the business, making sure that I couldn't take the chance of taking a risk that wasn't going to be a hit. Because as a black person in the business, you don't get the opportunity to have many flops. So if you're not hitting one after the other, after the other, after the other, your value goes down and down and down and down, and then you don't get things made. Like, I know people who are not black who have flops and make more and more and more, and I see very talented people have one flop and never get another shot. So I wanted to be in a position where I could do this comfortably without worrying about what if it flopped, right? Which I don't think it is, because it's pretty damn good. But it took all of those other steps and all of those other movies and the patience and the time to get to this place. So it's all been very, very strategic, all been by the numbers. No matter what naysayers I had, no matter what critics I had, it's always been keeping my eye on where I'm going. Studio, opening a studio, hiring as many black and brown people as I can. Yeah. And giving us opportunities that you wouldn't. I got a text earlier, giving us opportunities that we wouldn't have. I got a text earlier from somebody who works for me as a grip, and he and his girlfriend just bought their first house. He was in jail for 7 years, so he coming out of jail as a black man, couldn't get a job anywhere. And to see these people, my payroll last year alone was $154 million, and most of that was black and brown people. So to be in this position by taking those steps and seeing all these lives change, and now getting an opportunity to do something that I really love, that was really powerful for me.
Makes it worth it to let that script burn a hole in your pocket. Well, we teased it a little bit, so I think we should go ahead and show this clip. It explains a little more of what we were discussing about this forbidden love. Take a look.
I want to say that, first of all, that was Alana playing mom in the movie there that stood up earlier. I don't want to leave misleading thought that he did something to her, because he didn't. It's the mom and her whole plan and so on and so forth. But yeah.
Yes. But it is heart-wrenching. It is gut-wrenching. That these two young people being pulled apart. No, please.
These kids, I'm telling you, they were the work that they bought. I believed every moment, and that's what I look for in an actor. This is how you can tell they're really, really great. Do you believe them? And these kids were amazing. I'm so excited for the world to see them and for what they go on to do next, so I can add them to the list of people that have gone on to do great things.
And it also shows the world that you built in this, because while they're, the central characters in it, there are so many other parts, and it's showing, kind of a changing a town, a changing family. They're going off to pursue new dreams. How did you figure out how to, balance and find all of these other stories in addition to this, love story that's at the center?
The way that I write, and people wonder how I can write so quickly, how I shoot things so quickly. Somebody said I was Rain Man the other day, but didn't want to be offended by that. But when I sit down to, as a kid, I endured a lot of things, and in order to escape those things, I would go places in my mind. So as I'm creating these worlds in my head, they were so vivid and so real and so clear. When I'm writing, I'm able to access that same place. Talk about something where everything working together for your good. It was those moments of tragedy and pain that allowed me to create this space that all of those, everything you're asking me, I don't know, I just see it. Like the way this flower, I see every color, every leaf, every moment in it, and when I'm writing, that's how it shows up in my head, and I just have to dictate it onto the computer.
And truly, you do it beautifully here, and the production of this is, you transport the audience back into that time, and we get a chance, we'll see it in a few more shots, but I did want to ask you about that writing super fast and shooting super fast. How long was the shoot for this one?
I don't want to say just yet, because I don't want people to see it and hear that and judge it, but it was fast.
You didn't change that, I understand.
Wasn't as fast as the others, but because I wanted to just make sure I got it right, and I was enjoying it so much. But yeah, for what it is, it was pretty fast. Yeah.
Well, we don't want you guys to be hanging on too long to wonder what happens next. So we're going to give you just a couple more clips, but we're going to just play one of them right now, and we'll talk about it. So let's go ahead and look at this clip real fast.
I guess you see it gets intense. I've been recently doing some research in my family, and I found a picture of my grandmother, my mother's mother, who died when she was 13 years old, and they never were able to find a picture of her. So my aunt called me, and she showed me a picture of her, and she looked like a white woman. And her family, her mother or grandmother, there's a town in Louisiana called Butlerstown that was named after them. The only way that could have happened is if they were passing for white. So this story takes the turn where black people then were faced with some of the awful choices of having to pretend to be something that they weren't just to have a better life, if you were, quote unquote, fortunate enough to be able to pass.
And I love that you say fortunate enough, because you see it all over Solea's face.
Quote unquote fortunate.
Yeah,
I don't think
exactly.
it was fortunate.
No,
but yeah.
and that's what I mean, is that because it is fortunate, but it's also a curse. You see that she is struggling in that moment not to betray it, because if she betrays it, then what happens to her, what happens to her mother, what happens to her family? She has to protect herself. As you wanted to explore that theme, what made it so intriguing for you to put it into this story as well as part of what is keeping these two apart?
Again, just thinking about my own family and the choices that we have had to make in this country, and that's why I think that the timing was right for JAZZMAN, because there are certain political corners that are trying to homogenize and tamp down our history, as if what happened to us did not happen, as if we did not have to make hard choices, as if we haven't been through the things that we've been through. And I read this amazing study about Holocaust survivors, and how after the Holocaust, there were scientific studies done on their descendants, and their DNA changed, the very DNA. So imagine if that had been done with black people who are descendants of slaves. What happened in between that time? So understanding all of that, I just knew that this was the time to tell the story, because there's so many people who were trying to homogenize and play down and just make amazing what happened to us, and I wanted to tell it as real as I could. Yeah.
And nuanced. It's
Yeah.
very nuanced what you're doing here.
Nuanced. That's the word you never heard about my stuff. Nuanced.
Y'all can say you heard it here first. tell me a little bit about putting, and you kind of just mentioned this, but putting out this movie at this time on this platform through Netflix, the ability for people to see this movie, on this wider scale. What do you hope that people jumping into this story at this time will be able to take away through that reach?
If it causes somebody who didn't know that there were people who had to pass, if they didn't know the things all of our love stories then didn't end well, right? So because of forces that were not our own. So if I can open a mind up where people will actually explore and go find out the truth of what really happened, then that's great. But I don't want to put an expectation from anybody on the film. What I want them to do is watch it and leave with their own feelings about what they saw, and if it moves them in the best way, then great. Yeah.
Well, this film, while it is deep and heavy and full of love, it is also full of joy and fun, and it's literally in the title, A JAZZMAN'S Blues. You gotta have some more jazz. So let's take a look at one last clip, you all. I've never said that before, y'all. Let's look at one last clip, y'all.
Well, darling, we're in the Vineyard, darling. It's you all.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's you all.
That would be Miss Debbie Allen doing all the choreography there, so she was so crazy. I bought the movie to her 20-something years ago when she was working with Steven Spielberg at DreamWorks, I think it was, and we talked about it, but we never could get it done. And to have her come on and do this, it was really great. It's really great. And I know the sync was off. Trust me, it's right. Y'all ain't finna get me on Twitter. It was right. We got it right. Trust me.
But it is truly an incredible music number. I mean, there's so many things happening all at the same time. What was it like for you? Did this make you want to start directing full-fledged musicals next?
No. But when I was writing this, home jazz, I used to go to work on Bourbon Street, my teens, and there's all kinds of music from the beginning to the end, and to have that be the backdrop of it was just so important to me, because I felt like as he was having all these things happen to him, music was also part of his life, which is a lot of us. We can mark memories by a great song. Yeah.
And also, can we just talk about how incredible both Joshua and Austin are in that scene? Because you get to learn a lot about that brother dynamic also as they are.
There's a bit of a Cain and Abel story going on for sure. Yeah, that's another theme that's going on throughout the jealousy, and also that light skin, dark skin thing. Yeah, between brothers and one parent favoring the lighter skinned child, something I grew up with in my own family. So a lot of that, I didn't know it until I watched it back. I'm like, wow, a lot of my own stuff subconsciously showed up in it.
And not only Debbie Allen, but you also brought in Terrence Blanchard.
Yes.
There's Ruth B. has an original song as well. I mean, you brought in some real heavy hitters on the music side too.
Yeah, the original song is called Paper Airplanes. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. It's really, really phenomenal. It's Ruth B. Really phenomenal.
Well, I guess you guys, we're coming towards the close of this because we want you to actually see the movie in full, but to know, all the different layers that are in A JAZZMAN'S Blues here, and to make sure to tell everyone that this film is coming to Netflix, but first, it will have its world premiere globally. It'll have its world premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival. And then make sure, again, on September 23rd, to watch A JAZZMAN'S Blues in full on Netflix. So thank you all so much, and thank you most of all, Mr. Perry.
Guys. I really appreciate it. This was wonderful. Thank you for coming. Stephanie, Floyd, thank you. Netflix, thank you. Angelique, thank you. And thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. God bless you.